Welcome back to Why This Beer, the podcast where we dive into the world of craft brewing and get to know the people behind the beers we love. I'm Darren Binema, and today we're joined by Tessa Gabiniewicz, head brewer at Land & Sea Brewing, all the way from Comox on Vancouver Island. Tessa has a unique journey through the brewing world, having lived in some pretty interesting spots across BC. And today, she'll be sharing how those experiences have shaped her brewing style. We'll also be highlighting their award-winning Glacier Cream Ale, talk foraging for ingredients, think spruce tips and pineapple weed, and even hear about Tessa's trip to the UK to collaborate with Hook Norton Brewing. Plus, we'll dig into Land & Sea's Foeders and their first foeder-aged release, the Red Earth Bock. And of course, we'll get her thoughts on the BC beer scene and a little about what keeps her busy outside the brewhouse. So grab a pint, sit back, and join us as we dive into the story of Land & Sea Brewing with Tessa Gabiniewicz. All right, welcome to another episode of Why This Beer, where we talk about beer in BC and all the great people that are making it. I'm one of your hosts, Darren Binema from Neighborhood Brewing, and I'm joined as always by Aslan Graves from Main Street Brewing.
Hey. And yeah, today we've got Tessa Gabiniewicz from Land & Sea joining us. Welcome, Tessa.
Hi, thanks for having me. Gabiniewicz, you nailed it, both of you.
It.
Yeah,
Cool.
sweet.
So-
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being on the podcast. We usually ask our guests, the first thing we ask is kind of what got them into craft beer and what was your first exposure to it, and then kind of like what led you into the role you're at now.
Yeah, okay. So I started brewing back in 2009 at the Nelson Brewing Company. I basically moved to Nelson, wanted to snowboard, wanted to relax, whatever. I went to school for something totally different and just thought I'd chill for a little bit. But because I paid for my own education, I was like, oh shit, I need an actual real job. So I was firing out resumes and Nelson Brewing Company was hiring, and I walked in there and that place was just like the smell and the magic. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever been there, but there's a literal moat, like a little river running through the facility. Like, the building's so old, it's wild. They like excavated it into the hill, and instead of like rerouting, it's like over 100 years old. So instead of rerouting the little creek, they just like let it run through.
Wasn't
a river runs
designed?
Exactly. I was like, what is
Wasn't
this
it
magic
designed
place?
so it came from the tracks down? Like their shipments would come from the train tracks down, and then all the pubs would be below it. So it was
exactly. It was the original Columbia brewery, right? So where kokanee is brewed. So
nice.
So I walked in there and I was like, wow, I need a job, and this place sounds so cool. And so Mike hired me, and I immediately went into filtering beer and transferring beer. And when I started there, we had, I think it was 6 or 7 fermenters, and they were all open top, stainless steel with lids. Yeah.
Wow.
Which makes me feel really old, to be honest. But so got right into it. We would harvest yeast in buckets, and then we had cylindrical conical tanks for conditioning. So we had fermenters, then we had conditioning tanks, and then we had 3 bright tanks. I think conditioning tanks we had 10 or so. We would brew just single batch, which was I think 20 hex at the time. And then I would filter on the DE filtration system. And then I learned to brew like after a couple months, and I was there for, I don't know, like almost 4 years or 5 years, something like that.
Nice.
Then I moved up to Terrace and was hired as a consultant and then a contract brewer to open a brewery there called Sherwood Mountain. That was pretty short-lived. Then I moved further north, took a break from brewing for a minute, about 8 months. I lived close to like the Yukon border, and then moved down to the island, and same thing. I got a job contract brewing and consulting to help open Beachfire Brewing. That's in Campbell River.
Okay, nice.
And then from there, I went to 33 Acres for a year, relocated, and then that was 2017 that I ended up there. And And then 2018 in April, I was hired to open Land and Sea. And
Awesome.
Nice.
yeah, and that's that.
Been there ever
Well,
since.
Yep.
well traveled around BC as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's such a beautiful province and there's so much to see, and yeah, it's incredible. I feel very fortunate that I've been able to do that and brew pretty much everywhere too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely like some
With,
outdoors towns, like lots of skiing and mountain biking towns and stuff for sure.
Definitely. Terrace
Yeah.
was awesome for skiing. There's a mountain there, Shames, that's just beautiful.
Yeah.
Nelson too,
Nice.
I love.
Yeah. Which place has the best food? Which ski hill?
Nelson for sure. Do you know those whitewater cookbooks?
Yeah, I've got two of them on my my bookshelf. It was a trick
There you
question.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but
so with
go ahead.
brewing all over and for a bit of time, you know, open top fermenters and all the different quirks, how has that like influenced your brewing? Nelson would have been organic at that time as well. What were some of the limitations there?
Yeah, that's right. They had become organic, and it was a lot of paperwork. I remember just in order to like get like cleaning chemicals had to be registered organic, like every single thing in our process. I never worked the 10 different Frankenstein version of the Maheen bottling line, thankfully.
Yeah.
But we even had kegs with bungs in them when I first started, which is
Wow.
so wild. So traditional English style beers for the most part.
Yeah.
And I guess really the biggest hang up was just finding ingredients that really, you know, we wanted to be innovative. We wanted to be able to brew things differently, but because we were organic, we were very limited in what we could have. We couldn't have organic Maris Otter. So when they switched to
Yeah.
you know, that, like the English style ales kind of started to evolve and change. And that was really at the height of like everyone flexing their IBU muscles, right? And we weren't able to get a lot of hops organic. However, we were one of the first that I'm aware of to really get into the New Zealand market.
Oh, okay.
Because a lot of
cool.
their hops were already organic, and that was just easier to have that certification and for our paperwork on this end.
Nice.
Yeah, some of those like other countries are like way more strict on their like organic matters and stuff like that, and processing stuff too. I know when we were touring Yakima, they were saying that all of the, like in Europe, they changed all the regulations recently on the hops and what can be sprayed and everything, and they have to like redo all their testing for all these hops and go, okay, yeah, we can actually sell these to Europe. So
yeah,
probably easier to get here from some of those places.
I remember too, we had the wild honey ale, and we were getting our honey from is it Three Hills, Alberta? Sorry, Alberta.
Three Hills.
Okay. I knew it was a number of hills. So we would get our honey from there, and I thought it was wild because to have certified Canadian organic honey, you have to have something like you can fact check me on this, but like a 100-kilometer radius around the farms.
Oh, wow.
Because how do you control
just to ensure which
right?
which pollen they're getting? Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So, you know, sourcing that was always a thing. And then if that went out, like if that sold out or we couldn't get it, because Nelson's kind of hard to get to, right? That would throw our production schedule way off.
Yeah. And that wild honey, that was a core product as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then being up in Terrace was like, were you able to use a lot of those connections from getting, you know, ingredients into a smaller town and then transferring those skills up to Sherwood Mountain? And
yeah, absolutely. Yep. So when they hired me on, it was basically, you know, what tanks should we get? Should we do direct fire? Should we do a boiler? Like, what's the footprint like? Like, I was still pretty new in the industry, but I had a keen interest. I knew what I knew from NBC, so I just helped in any way that I could, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you've set up like 3 different breweries essentially between
Yeah.
yeah. What's like one thing that you would never do again that you've done at like one of these breweries?
Oh my gosh, there's so
Putting you on
many
the
things.
spot for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
at
What?
Land and Sea, I literally plumbed everything to my height because this time I was opening a brewery for me, right? So
Yeah.
so that was different, I would say. But now I had like there was nobody else to blame. Like I didn't have anybody else to when I was working as a consultant or a contractor, it was like I had somebody else to ask those questions and be like, hey, how do you want this to flow? What do you think? This is what
Right.
I'm thinking. But this time it was just like, okay, I got to know what I want. And, I do, but there's still a million things I would do differently if I given a chance. But
Yeah.
what wouldn't I do again? Floors, like just everybody knows this, I think, but like
Yeah.
spend the money on a good floor that drains well. Like,
Yeah.
it just
Yeah.
makes
It
such a
seems
difference. Yeah.
it's
Oh,
easier to do it once and do it right than try and
absolutely.
move the tanks and try and resurface and
Yeah, I think it's like pay once, cry once, one of those things for that.
yeah.
100%. The
Yeah.
other thing is an electric kettle. I would definitely stay away from an electric kettle. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Where did you have an electric kettle? Or do you
At
have
Land
that
and
now?
Sea.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
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 Why do you not like it? Just it's slow or just hard to clean? Or both. Yeah.
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 And when anything happens to the elements, it is a pain in the ass. Like mine are 100 pounds and they're like 4.5 feet long. Like the
Oh,
two of
Oh
them
geez.
don't get a good true pile for
yeah.
roll cooling, even though there's a flange in there. Made sure to put like a pretty big one too, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Just breaks it up. So yeah.
Yeah.
Noted.
Yeah.
Hot tips for everyone else.
Well, it doesn't seem to affect the awards that the Glacier Cream Ale is constantly receiving, and
Yeah. Thanks.
the clarity on that beer is
Yeah. Thanks.
phenomenal. Let's maybe we'll jump ahead and talk
Yeah.
a bit about that. How long
Sure.
have you been brewing that beer? Was
That's a
it
day
from
one
day
beer.
one?
Day
Yeah.
one. That must
Yeah.
feel nice. Yeah.
It does. It really
Yeah.
does. Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that. Yeah, it was kind of my ode to the island drinkers, the Lucky Lager drinkers, the Budweiser drinkers, clean, crisp, crushable is what I like. It's a beer drinker's beer. It's a beer you can talk over, not about. It's just something I want to drink at the end of the day. It's still my favorite beer to make also because it really keeps me honest. It's like, I can't hide any of my mistakes. So
Right.
yeah, I really like that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a like an American style cream ale. Like for those that don't really know that style, because I don't think there's a bunch of people that make it in BC, but a lot of people make other kind of lighter styles of beer. Like, what is a cream ale, or like to you, what is a cream ale? I guess.
Yeah, cream ale is a lagered ale to me. It's something that has corn, so it has a bit of sweetness from the corn, and drinks like a lager. That's really what I go for with it.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that. There's not a lot of them because there isn't. However, in the Comox Valley, and if you were to include Love Shack, which is just outside of the Comox Valley here on the island, we have Gladstone does a cream ale. Ace Brewing does a cream ale, and then
Yeah.
we do a cream ale, and Love Shack. So that's 4 all within, close driving distance. It's funny.
There we go.
Yeah.
It's
Sometimes
the
that happens.
official
Right?
beer of the
Yeah.
island.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It just
Step
works.
aside, Lucky.
Yeah.
for trying.
Whoa.
Yeah.
No, never. You can't beat them.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Hey, there's a right beer for every time and place.
Yeah.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's right.
Yeah. And so how has it evolved over time?
Really not too much. I would say depending on the growing season of it's only super pills and corn, sometimes flaked or torrefied. Sorry, always flaked, sometimes torrefied. So there's that. the yeast has always been the same, Chico strain, and the hops have always been the same, except for if I'm noticing there's like not enough like almost like grassiness, or if I'm having trouble hitting the IBUs because I use Crystal and Northern Brewer in there. The Northern Brewer is a little hint. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, because those are such low alphas, they're very inconsistent. And because my brewery is so small, I don't always have like, well, one, I don't contract the hops, and so two, I get whatever I get, right? Get upset. So anyway, so I've added Magnum a couple times over the years just to round out the bitterness. And I think Levon now, he is going to be first wort hopping it. So that's going to be cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Bit of a German approach to get a rounder bitterness.
Yeah. I think it's a great idea.
So the base malt is Superior Pilsen, or okay, cool. How much corn do you add? Is it like 15%, or is that trade secret?
Well, I can't give you all my secrets. I told you about my
Fair enough.
Everybody has to go get an electric kettle, otherwise it's not going to be the same.
Not going to be exactly the same. Truck in some totes of water from Comox. There you go.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Nice. Yeah, what's a great beer? We're drinking it right now. It's like super bright and light.
Nice.
Yeah, thanks for shipping it to me all the way here.
Good. I'm glad it worked. Aslan, you didn't get yours?
Oh yeah,
no, he's crushing it.
Okay, yeah, sweet, nice.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, super light, nice and like honey kind of note, but like nothing too intense.
Yeah. Again, the sweetness is definitely from the corn.
Beautiful color as well.
Oh, good. Yeah. Cheers, thanks, guys. I'm drinking a hop soda from Jackknife Room.
Yeah.
Wow.
Shout out to Brad. Yep.
There you go. You get that all the way out there?
No, he sent it to me.
Score.
What a nice guy.
Yeah, nice guy. I should send him beer back.
And so with Land and Sea, it seems like you guys have done a lot of kind of local community collaborations and also using local ingredients. Do you have any like favorites? Are you doing the foraging yourself? How do you develop that stuff?
Yeah, so living and brewing all over the province, I would say like one of my favorite things about that is going out to see where everything grows and how it grows, and like living in the northern part, like Terrace is just as rainy as here, if not, it's the north coast, so probably more, and just getting out there and seeing where I live, like it's just really exciting. So I've always tried to incorporate different things, but because none of these places that I've worked have ever had a pilot system, I've kind of always had to just go for it and err. I tend to err on the side of caution, but also on the side of drinkability. Like I want it to be approachable. So even though I'm adding, spruce tips or elderflower or pineapple weed, or maybe the weirdest thing I've added was, do you guys know what fenugreek is?
Yeah. It's like mapley almost, right?
Very mapley. So I would sprout that at home, and I would realize that like my sweat would smell like maple syrup, and I was like, oh my god, this is mapley? This is weird. So then I ended up dry hopping with it and it worked. It made such a good like maple beer. So yeah, I often will go out and I'll take my dirt bike and go harvest whatever I can, whether it's local fruit. We've done blackberries, blueberries, spruce, elderflower, cherries. Oh, we've had some really good Carmine Jewel cherries. A lot of our local people will bring in stuff too, which is really nice, and having good connections with the farmers. Comox Valley has a good growing valley. It's really nice here.
And with your batch size, it's probably easy enough. I mean, you still need a lot, but like it's easy enough to get enough to do these small one-off batches. And
absolutely, it's like 2 to 5 kilos usually, sometimes 10 depending, but
Awesome.
Um,
Yeah.
except for when it's fruit. When it's fruit
Right.
and doing a fruited sour, then it's like a couple hundred
Yeah.
pounds.
As much as you
Yeah.
can get. So, yeah.
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 I remember a couple years ago, Connor was working with me, and he's now at Lupolo, and we had black currants from a local farm, and black currants are very small and they're very viney, and much like picking elderflower off of the stem, you don't want the cyanide in the stem or the tannin from the stems. It took us hours and hours to pull all of that apart and then just like immersion blend it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the pain in the
So
butt.
wouldn't recommend those.
Yeah. There's a reason why people buy puree. I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the juice is not worth the squeeze.
Well, yeah.
Very good.
Good one.
Yeah.
I did actually do a salted lime, kind of in light of the mezcal goes. I did my own version of that, and I got a case of 40 limes, and then I put on the end of a drill bit just this little like prong thing, and then I threw the limes on it, and then I just sat there with like using the drill so it would spin the lime with a zester into a bucket. That was pretty cool. That made it easier.
Yeah. Rapid fire zesting.
Exactly.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Makes it fun though, you know?
Yeah. So you did a brew out in the UK with a brewery called Hook Norton, right? Do you want to tell us about that and what kind of beer you made with them?
Yeah. So I was lucky enough to be asked to represent Canada to brew a beer at the J.D. Wetherspoon's International Brewing Festival in 2020. And it was just before COVID happened, which I'm so thankful for. I was lucky to be able to get out there and do that. So basically I had a list of beers. They contacted me and they were like, we would love you to come brew one of your beers and we'll place you at a brewery that's there. And so I gave them a list of what was currently on tap, and I said, okay, anything like this, or do you have a preference? And then they happened to pick my Estuary Session Ale, which has spruce tips in it. And that's the one that I brew 1,500 liters of beer. I put 5 kilos of spruce tips in it. I was like, great, this is going to be fun. They put me in contact with Jamie, was their head brewer at the time, of this brewery called Hook Norton. And it's in Oxfordshire in a village called Hook Norton. So quaint, adorable. They have cobblestone streets, and they literally deliver kegs by Clydesdale horse still and carriage.
Wow.
It's unreal.
Look out, Budweiser.
Yeah, it's so cool. And it's 175 years old, or just a couple years older than 175 years old by now anyways. And it's a tower brewery. They have a copper cool ship in the top of the tower, which is unreal. And you just get to open up all of the blinds and like let the air come through, and it's so cool. And then they have a steam engine that they were using up until 2006. It's 25 horsepower, and that's how they would like get the grain up to the top of the mill. It's unreal. And then it would all gravity feed into they have 2 different mash tuns. One was still copper and with wood lined to insulate, which is they use every once in a while, which is unreal. And then another more updated stainless one. And then down to the next level where everything would go into the kettle. So it was a mash tun with a grant, and then down to the kettle. And then there was like kind of a lauter. Yeah, there was like a lauter trough as well. It's just unreal.
Cool. Gotta have it.
And then down into open top fermenters in the next level. And then yeast. They have like
a parachute thing, right?
That's right. That's how we'd harvest the yeast. It was so cool. It basically was this like a track that goes across the fermenter, and it's this now stainless little funnel. And you crank this thing. You stand on the outside, you crank it, and it goes out and then down, and it just all the top fermenting yeast goes down through it, and then it goes through this pipe right through the ground and harvest into these big bins in the basement.
Wow, that's wild.
That's so cool.
It's like one of those toys where you get the toys with the arm or whatever. It's like you're getting yeast instead from the picker tank.
Yeah.
That is wild.
Yeah, it's wild. And on my Instagram page there, I have a little Hook or an England highlight, and there's photos of it there if you're interested. But
Sweet.
Yeah, you got some
yeah,
great photos and good shots there. It's
yeah,
pretty cool.
thanks.
I've watched a lot of YouTube videos about that brewery, and
Yeah,
that's one of the better walkthroughs.
cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, it's an interesting place, and Aslan, you have interest in it too, I see.
Yeah, so with the CAS program at Main Street, I think as initially I got a slant through Conrad at Brass Neck of some of their
Oh, yeah.
yeast. That so we're like a year and a half using that yeast for most of the stuff.
Cool. Cool.
Yeah, and
When was that? Can I ask?
4 years ago. I guess it was 4 years ago is when we started, and then for a year and a half. So
I
we
wonder
got
if you got that slant from Tack, because I brought yeast home so that I could brew my beer then, and then I gave some to Tack, and then I wonder if that
might have
happened.
been.
That would be really cool.
I think he said he might have got it through Ildegard in Montreal, potentially. But yeah, I remember literally looking it up to see like what the yeast was, kind of what to expect from it, and your brewery and your beer came up, and I was like, oh, crazy.
Yeah.
How did they have that connection?
Yeah. Small world. You guys are yeast smugglers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was in England for another 3 weeks after that, so I was just like carrying around this little jar, like preciously, putting it in every hotel I stayed in the fridge. Wonder how it still worked, but that's the magic of yeast, isn't it?
Yeah,
it is.
No issues getting back with it.
No, not at all.
Great.
Thankfully.
Don't ask, don't tell.
Yep.
Yeah. So with the experience of using foraged ingredients, you got to take some of that to Hook Norton. How was it working with, which hop farm was it? You basically, because you had to basically pelletize and get them shipped over, correct?
That's right. So that was with Northwest Hop Farm at the time. Now they don't exist anymore, right?
Yeah.
I've been invited to go back, which is really awesome, because that was
awesome.
So that was pre-COVID. It was 2020. I think it was March when I was coming back. Italy was just going into lockdown or whatever. So the beer didn't go to like all 900 pubs. They had to pull some back and put it in bottles. It was a whole thing. So I just got an email a couple weeks ago asking if I'd like to come back and brew the same beer and do it all again. So I'm actually partnered with, I've been talking a lot with Elko, I think I'm saying his name right, from Myrtle Meadows.
Yeah. Elko does one.
Yeah. So we've been chatting lots about it, but his turnkey pellet line is too big for the amount that I need. So essentially I need somebody with more of like a tabletop one. Also, whole flowers would have been better. So both of the times that I've been invited to do my estuary session ale, it has spruce tips in it. And I go out on my dirt bike, go up to the hydro line, and I pick like 5 kilos. I bring it down, and this is always in the spring when spruce tips are in season. And then I put it into my 1,500 liter kettle, and we're good. But Hook Norton has me brewing 408 hectoliters. So
just a little bit.
Yeah, it's quite a bit more, right? And I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? Like I always say, I'm like, you have to bring a tree? Like, really?
We're going to need another dirt bike.
Yeah. So working with local foragers, people who, will supply to gin companies, like distilleries, to chefs, because they'll use it in their like salts or sugars or all sorts of things. I networked and reached out to everyone that I could in 2020. Sadly, not as many people are still doing it this year. So I ended up partnering with Forest for Dinner.
There you go.
Ben from Forest for Dinner. And he got me 40 kilos of spruce tips. And then,
nice.
Yep. And then I'm going to pelletize them with some Centennial. That's been pretty good. And I'm either going to do that with Myrtle Meadows, if we can. We're kind of in the middle of figuring that out right now, if he can make his make it work. Or I was talking to Ben like the other week there from Maple Bay hops. So
Okay.
Oh yeah, nice.
so that might be able to work.
Just down
Maple
the road.
Bay's on the island, right? Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
It'll be
Nice.
interesting this time though, because it will be repelletizing pellets. So it will have a very different effect. So I'm going to go there. The recipe has Citra, Cascade, Centennial, and Spruce tips in it. Centennial is what was looking and smelling good from Myrtle, but we'll see what Ben has, and then we'll decide there. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then, so you also just released. We're gonna jump ahead because I want to fill my beer. Your Foeder series. This is your first beer from the Foeder,
Yeah.
and Canadian-made Foeders too.
Yeah,
So-
that's right.
How did
So
you
Maple lined.
Yeah,
It's Maplewood.
yeah.
That would be
But-
cool.
That'd be cool. More
Yeah.
expensive.
Yeah.
For sure.
So Red Earth Bock. Yeah, tell us.
Mhm.
First off, tell us the story with the Foeders.
So I somehow got connected with New World Foeders just on Instagram. I think, of course, it was Jeremy from Two Crows. Him and I were chatting.
Oh yeah,
I really want Foeders. I was talking about looking at getting used ones, and American Foeder Crafters are right there. I was like, I could do that. And he was like, look, why try this guy, Jordan. I think he was fixing one of Jeremy's. Maybe that's what it was. And I was like, great. So for the last, I don't know, two or 3 years, Jordan and I had been in contact. I'd ask him a ton of questions, always seeing what kind of projects he was into. He worked for DME. He lives in PEI,
cool.
and he works out of PEI. He's solely on his own. I can't tell his whole history, but I do know that he went overseas for school and ended up falling in love with like Belgian beer and foeder crafting, and he was already like in carpentry and
Right.
woodworking with his dad. So between DME and I think his love of beer and that craftsmanship, he came back and ended up starting his own thing. And I know that he has supplied foeders for a few of the breweries in the States, one in Newfoundland, and I think maybe a couple of Quebec, Ontario, but not many. And I'm the first to have one out here, which is really,
Cool.
Great for him, I hope. But his products are just beautiful. Like they're just, and he was so awesome to work with and so knowledgeable. Like when we were talking about toasting levels, shape, just the wood is actually from Quebec and milled in Quebec. So it's all Canadian oak.
Yeah.
It's new oak. He's got the pitch that you would line like the personal or the Pilsner or Kel
Oh wow.
with.
Yeah.
He's got that. Like he's dialed. He's
Yeah.
so good.
Neat.
And it was really just a pleasure working with him. And I flew out there last year at this time to go see them being made, and I just had such an awesome experience. He showed me around like East Coast hospitality. Man, those guys, one, they can drink. Two, they're so funny. Like just such a riot. And I got to go to Shoreline Malting, which is a malting facility there, and got to see all of that. Yeah. And then Island Hop Co. He's doing amazing things. He has about 40 acres, the farm that I got to see. I can't remember his name right now. I'll have to fact check me on that too. But I know that somebody in his close family lineage was growing hops in Germany. So like he came over here and was like, that's what I'm doing. Had a hop farm in Nova Scotia and then again on PEI. And so we got some golding from him, which was really awesome. And that's in the Bock as well.
Sweet.
And so I wanted to showcase, because I went from one island to this island, right?
Yeah.
To Vancouver Island. I wanted to make the first beer in there for a couple of reasons, but one reason I wanted to like highlight everything that I saw while I was in PI.
Yeah.
That's shoreline malting, Munich in there, and it's a beautiful, beautiful red color, just like the ones in PEI.
Bring it up for you.
Yeah.
Oh, try my best.
See.
There, show off our glass washing skills.
Yeah. It's not doing it justice, but it's a nice, like, really nice.
It's like
red,
beautiful ruby red.
Color.
It's beautiful.
Really nice. The foam is like super nice. It's like very thick.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Well, PI is great for growing, right? So it's no wonder that the hops and the malts came out. You
resisted potatoes, though. I see you didn't add any potatoes. Yeah. Next edition. For the Doppelbock, the extra sugar, add some potatoes. That'll really round it out, I think. Yeah. I guess that's why it's Red Earth Bock. I just got it now.
That's right. Exactly.
The name. Got it. Sweet.
Yeah, you did go with the Anna Green Gables reference.
Yes. I got to see the house.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a awesome spot. I definitely recommend going out there, and working with Jordan was a breeze. So it was awesome too, because I had to, so for like Land and Sea has a lot of vertical space, but we don't have a large footprint, and I'm maxed out for my current fermenters right now. So in order to convince the boss where I was going to put them and why to spend the money, like why it was worth it, I had to work with a construction company, like a structural engineer, excuse me, for quite a few months, and then also Innovative Stainless to basically have these foeders. So it was Jordan, then the structural engineer, and Innovative Stainless for quite a few months trying to figure out how to get these, one, horizontal, and then two, mounted above my current fermenters to fill that vertical space, and then have it so that it's safe. And the whole earthquake thing that they're always worried about.
Oh yeah, right.
So it worked. We did it, and it's there. And those tanks are now not moving at all, because if you see a photo, or if you come into Land and Sea, you'll see that we have they're 700 liters. They're horizontal. They have the CIP arm. I even got a cooling fin in each one as well.
Oh, rad.
Yeah, which is great. And then it's on this wooden cradle. And then the cradle is then mounted to a stainless steel square frame. And then that frame, the legs of it, is welded onto the dome of my fermenter.
Whoa.
So
sweet. We'll try to post a picture of it on our social media so that people can understand it. And yeah, for like people that don't know what a foeder is, it's like, picture a big wine barrel, but like custom made to the exact size you want it to be, which in your case is 700 liters. So yeah, that's it's not small.
Not small.
Yeah. It's a lot of beer.
And then when you're like, what is the wood contributing for those that don't know the difference between like why you would choose wood versus stainless, and like and how you're designing a beer for those purposes?
Basically, I wanted to do something a little different in terms of aging or conditioning our beers. So I want to keep the barrels, the foeders, clean for now. And when I say clean, I mean hopefully no Brettanomyces, hopefully no anything else. I want to put lagers in there. I want to put saisons in there. I want to put non-diastatic. Like, I want to just keep it so that the wood is contributing, like the vanilla, the a little bit of astringency, a little bit of the like leather or the smoke or the toast. I find a lot of toast. Right now, this is the first batch that went in, and it was in there so it aged first in stainless for 7 weeks, and then it was in the foeders for 2 months. I personally, I think that this is now at a stage where it's drinkable, for kind of what I was saying earlier, where, high drinkability. I love Land and Sea's beers to be something that everyone it's approachable.
Right.
But personally, I would have loved to see it in there for another 2 months and have more character out.
Okay.
Another reason I wanted to have the Red Earth Bock in there is because I didn't know what this was going to taste like. I have no idea what this wood is going to taste like,
Yeah.
right? Like, I had no
Yeah.
idea. So I figure if I did something with, more malt character, then
Yeah.
I'm going to kind of contribute back to the wood, give it some flavor, but I'm also going to kind of have something round and smooth. I do
I
find
almost
this
get
bock.
like,
Go ahead.
sorry, I was gonna say I almost get like on the exhale there's like a building off that vanilla and it's kind of like a marshmallow kind of character.
Yeah.
And
Totally.
it's
Yeah, I could see
very
that.
dessert. Yeah.
Yeah. I would
It's nice.
definitely like to dry it out a bit more. I find it quite sweet. So if I were to do it again, but this is the whole process. So for me, brewing for whatever, 15, 16 years, this is something fun and it's something to redevelop different skills or not redevelop, just develop new skills and experiment. Yeah, so I'm excited to see what comes out of it. Levon's got a good program going on right now. I think he's doing a rye lager in there next, maybe even a Baltic porter. So that'll
Nice.
be cool. Yeah,
Sweet. Yeah. I like keeping it clean and lagers, that styles. It works really well in these
yeah,
foeders for sure. Like
yeah,
they can contribute and it can be interesting, but also if they don't add too much, like you're still gonna have a very nice drinkable Baltic porter.
yes,
Yeah. You
yeah,
can kind of like tailor how much of that barrel character you want based on how long you're gonna leave it in there too.
absolutely. And having the shape and the size that we do, we're able to have half of the batch in stainless if we want, and then half in one. So we can,
Right.
yeah, we can blend a little bit if we need to. We could, if we want to, rather, not if necessarily if we need to. Or oh, there's an Italian Pilsner in there right now, actually. That's right.
Oh,
So
fun.
Italian Pils, yeah, and then we have Italian Pils on tap. So we just split the batch in half. So some of it's
Right.
going to be wood aged and some of it won't be. So that's really cool.
Nice.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah. Nice to compare and contrast.
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. And fun
That's
for
sweet.
everyone coming in too, right? Like it's fun
Yeah.
for us to brew and then it's fun for them to see the difference. And
Well,
yeah,
I'm sure you get
you've got-
asked already how many times, like having them in there, people will be like, what's in there? What's in those big wood things, right? It's like
oh yeah, for sure.
constantly, I'm sure.
Yeah.
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 And your brew house is very much on display. So
Very much on display.
Yeah,
You
if
walk-
you haven't been there
You,
before, yeah.
it's a ton of seats too. So it's like
Yeah.
that seemed like the go-to spot for people when I did a bike trip there and kind of bookended my trip on either side with land and sea, and it was bumping both times. And
Nice. I'm
Nice.
glad
I'm sure you're going through a lot of draft and having those things that people can have a learning experience, kind of
Yeah.
see the clean version versus the wood age version.
Absolutely.
Is like, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. And thanks for coming in. That's great. Sorry I missed you.
Yeah, it's fine. I was in no shape to see anybody. We had just finished 400 kilometers and
Yeah.
did not look
it's
great.
insane.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah. So yeah, do you do anything to like mitigate oxygen ingress with these beers when you're putting them into wood? Is the micro oxidization is kind of providing a component itself? Like what kind of steps are you doing with between beers? And yeah,
Starts with recipe development for sure, like knowing that we are going to have micro oxidization in there is part of it when we're choosing our malts and our yeast and our hops. But then I would say the best thing that we're doing is just keeping them as full as we can,
Right.
and also aging them properly before they go in there with lots of CO2, blanketing CO2, bubbling CO2, testing it regularly, quality assurance, like just staying on top of it like we do with all of our beers. Yeah. And then one day when, when they tell us, they will make sour beer. Essentially how it's going to go.
Yeah. You got one sour Bock beer.
Yep.
And now it's a sour batch. Yeah.
When the
We did
foeders
our
decide.
best. Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
Well, I'll still be tuned in for that. It'll be good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're in Comox, you're in lager country there. How do you stay relevant in your community and get people in the door to drink fun sour IPAs and stuff like that?
Yeah, honestly, by not competing, really, just offering something totally different for the most part is what brings people in. Also, a good space, great service, great food. That also really helps, and great beer.
Yeah.
But I think the key there for us is like, we don't want to convert Lucky Lager drinkers. We'll drink Lucky Lager too. I won't. I drink Budweiser, but I would. But I definitely think that having something on the menu for people, like my Glacier Cream Ale,
Yeah.
that's approachable. A beer drinker's beer, something again you can talk over and not necessarily about. I think that's so key for people who drink Lucky. It's that's what they're looking for, in my opinion, from what I've seen and living all over this province. It's like it doesn't matter if it's Lucky or Kokanee or Caribou or Pilsner or Bud or whatever. It's people are enjoying their time and
Yeah.
sharing an experience. So if we can provide that part, then hopefully, that transfers.
Yeah, just doing all the other components, not just
Yeah.
the beer, but also like the great food and hospitality and everything, right? That people
Yeah.
expect in like in a brewery these days.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So different than, when we all grew up in this. But
Yeah.
for the better.
Here's your chips and your oxidized IPA. Enjoy.
Yeah. Yeah. One flight, choose a growler and get out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh.
Yeah, Tessa, what excites you about the BC brewing industry these days?
Oh, I think what really excites me the most is just that the bar has been set so high. Like everybody is killing it. It doesn't matter where you go in this province and you're gonna have a good pint. How exciting is that? It's like you can literally go to Quesnel. Where's Quesnel? And it's delicious.
Yeah.
Like that's cool. I find that really exciting for sure. Quality product, places, and people. I think that's really awesome. The trends have kind of, subsided in the industry right now, it seems. And people are really concentrated on like just making good beer. And I think that's might be boring to some people, but it's exciting for me.
No, I don't think you're wrong. Like I just came back from, going to New West for the BC Beer Con and for the BC Beer Awards, and I tried so many different beers that I don't get to try, like beers from all over the province. And I was so amazed at how good these beers were. Like beer after beer, I was like, wow, this is great.
Yeah.
And like that's so satisfying. It's like I always use those events to take a chance. I'm like, okay, I'll try this brewery that I've never been to. They have an amber ale. Let's try that. And it's like, oh, this is great. Like, and that's awesome.
Yeah, I agree. It's so cool.
Yeah, we're getting back to a point where it's like every community's got their brewery, their baker, and their candlestick maker. Yeah.
You still have a candlestick maker?
No.
We do not.
We just have home sense.
I think the Gulf Islands is where all the candles are made.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, that's a good point, Tessa. I think like the fact that the trends are they're not dying off. There's always a new trend around the corner, but there's less and they're spaced out more, I feel like, these days. And so like at least for myself, like we're really focused on just our core products because that's who we're selling the most beer to these days. We're not selling new stuff to new people anymore. It's not that we're going. So as like a brewer, I'm always excited to try to make those like kind of normal offerings be like as good as they can be, because that, like you said, the bar is so high these days.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys find the same thing.
Yeah.
In the past year it's like core products and making sure that they are consistent but not stagnant.
Right.
Yeah, it's been great. it's nice to like focus in and hone in on those. For any new brewers just getting into the industry, what words of wisdom do you have for them?
Brew unto others as you would have them brew unto you, you know? Brew what you love. Like, just make good beer, make what you believe in. And I really think that people will come. Like, that's a new trend in itself. Like, just doing what you want to do will make you stand out.
Sure.
That and have way more money than you think that you need.
There you go.
Yeah.
You're fine.
I have someone else that makes a better income than you do on the side. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I think those are important.
Yeah. And when you aren't brewing, what takes up your time outside of brewing?
I love to dirt bike. I love to snowboard in the winter. I love camping, like overnight hiking, camping. I haven't done much of that this year, actually. Just getting into mountain biking the last couple of years. Took a course this summer. Cumberland's so great for that. Like, from my door, I can ride my bike or my dirt bike onto the trails, like right here, which is nice. So
awesome.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Cool.
I just started running. I don't know if I like it yet, though. But yeah, trying.
Yeah. You haven't got that runner's high yet.
No, not addicted yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely not. I ran my first 3-kilometer trail run, and I came in 168th. There was all these little kids with like iron lungs that were just flying past me. I was like, damn. But it was fun. It was great. It's fun to like push myself and do something new and try something different. I just really, I love that. So nice. I do all that stuff, I guess.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sweet. Well, it's been great having you on the podcast. Awesome.
Thanks for having me. It's fun talking to you guys.
Great.
Yeah. Great to chat beer as always. And
yeah.
Cool. Well, if people want to support all the Land and Sea and all the beer that you make there, they can come to the brewery in Comox and drink it there. That's probably the best place to get it.
For sure.
And if not, where else do you guys sell your beer so people can go buy it?
In the Comox Valley. So our local liquor stores only, really. We're not... we'll be in the BCL here soon. But yeah, I would say Cascadia, Liquor Plus, Jack's and Campbell River. Sometimes we're in the Noose Bay, but we are...
Keep it local.
Yeah. So we're small.
Highly recommend visiting the Comox and Cumberland and Courtenay area anyways. So if it's on your list, go check it out. Go check out the brewery. Get the beer there. Get a flat. Take it home. Yeah, all that good stuff.
Thanks, Darren.
Yeah. And if you want to support...
The food is incredible as well. So
there you go. Yeah. Make a day of it.
Worth sticking around for.
Cheers. I appreciate that.
Yeah. And if you want to support us and our podcast here, just tell people to listen to it. And subscribe to all the socials and that jazz. If you want to help us, you can buy our beer, Neighborhood Brewing Beer and Main Street Brewing Beer as well. Anything else to add, Aslan?
No, I think that's everything. Darren's always got it covered.
Boom. I try my best. Cool. Well, thanks, guys. Thanks, Tessa. And until next time, cheers.
Cheers. Thanks for having me.